Good morning, everybody. Welcome to today's webinar. We're just waiting for a few more people to log in, so we'll just give everybody one more minute and then we'll get started. All right, well, hello everyone and welcome to today's webinar. My name is Chantel Aubry and I'm the Business Development Manager here at Emergence. I'm really happy to be your moderator today because this is sort of a homecoming for me. Many of you will remember that I was previously with Emergence for about 7 years. I've been gone for about 2.5 and now I'm back again. So I'm really excited. I think we've got such a great team here at Emergence and I'm really looking forward to working with everyone. And also working with all of you again, and of course meeting those of you that I've not had the opportunity to work with yet. So thanks for having me today. Just a few housekeeping items before we get started. In order to keep the flow of the presentation moving along and on schedule, the audience is on mute, but we still want to keep this interactive. So we ask that you please type in your questions in the side panel and we'll review and answer them all at the end of the presentation. So let's get to why you're here today. Today's webinar is going to highlight some of the new features in Microsoft Dynamics GP 2018. Can you believe it? 2018 already. There are more than 47,000 small and mid-sized organizations around the world that run their businesses on Microsoft Dynamics GP. So as you can see from the roadmap, Microsoft continues to enhance Dynamics GP. And these are typically born from the top features requested by clients just like yourselves. I wanted to highlight this because at the end of the day, we understand that you've made an investment in Dynamics GP. So it's important that you understand Microsoft's strategic direction and the future of the product. I also wanted to mention that Microsoft Dynamics GP 2013 reaches the end of its life cycle in April of this year. So for everyone's general knowledge, mainstream support for any version of Dynamics GP is 5 years from the lifecycle start date. So that means that if you're on GP 2013 or earlier, you should really be planning your next upgrade so that your organization remains on a supported version. If you're not sure which version you're on, that's certainly something we can help you identify here in Emergence. Now, I'd like to introduce you to our presenter today. Jay Harry is a senior business consultant with more than 25 years of experience. He's a subject matter expert on pretty much all modules of Dynamics GP. He specializes in requirements analysis, design, validation, and implementation of not only Dynamics GP, but also CRM, NAV, and AX, as well as many of the third-party products that integrate into Dynamics GP. His hybrid experience and expertise is what really makes him a great consultant. He has deep technical knowledge and a great understanding of accounting fundamentals. So this allows him to provide in-depth business process analysis, which of course leads to successful project delivery, which is what we're all looking for. So I'd say that you're in very capable hands with Jay today. So without any further ado, I'll pass it over to you, Jay.
Thank you, Chantal, and thank you to everyone who has joined, and thank you for awarding us your time. I hope you find this session quite enriching. As Chantal's mentioned, I'm one of the senior business consultants at Emergence. I have had the privilege of working in many countries and people from around the world, and now it is indeed an honor to be working with you friendly people out here in Bermuda. With the 25 years of experience and more of that, apart from having certifications on the full Microsoft suite, Dynamics suite, my experience spans across many industries, namely the finance, insurance, healthcare, manufacturing, retail, banking, and the service industries. Now, this also falls both in the private and the public sectors. So before I start, I want to ask you to consider and keep in mind two questions. One, would you like to focus more on your business rather than on your system? And two, do you want your processes running at optimal performance? Well then, let me show you how to make this a reality. What I will be showing you through today is the agenda, as you see, is taking you through what's new in GP 2018, and that's going to be starting with user experience, workflows, document attachment, the web client, payroll and HR, and enhanced reporting. Now, this is not going to be a typical Dead by PowerPoint webinar. We're going to go straight into GP. Hope you all can see my screen pretty clearly. What I have done starting into GP is I have created a whole lot of shortcuts on my navigation pane on the left-hand side, taking you through what you have seen on the agenda itself. One thing to consider and to remember is Microsoft thrives on making the user experience on GP very much seamless. And over the years, they are making that even more easier to work with. And it's just to be able to let your users enjoy the product. Because if you have a user not enjoying the product, they're not going to be doing the work that they should be doing. And at the end of the day, you're going to get a lot of complaints and say, well, this is not a good product to work on. So that's what Microsoft thrives on. And going straight into it, we have a customer inquiry screen we have gone into. So I'm going to call up a customer. Now this looks quite familiar to most of you people. Under my sort type, this is a standard functionality that used to be available in GP, but they've added some functions to this feature. Right now you can sort by type, being your either it's an invoice or a credit or a payment. You can sort by document number, document amount, amount remaining, and document date. But that's not all. Whatever sort type that you choose to work on or to search for. So let's say if I have to take my document number, I now have a second option to say, I want to search this in either ascending or descending order. So if I had to choose, well, I want to see my figures, my document amounts in descending order, click on that, and that gives me my highest amount first, going down to my lowest. And this makes it easier to be able to find a particular transaction that you're looking for, and that's what Microsoft's looking to build on, is to make it easier for users to get to your data. The same option is available also for your vendor inquiries. So if I go into my vendor inquiry screen, again, I have the option to sort by type, original amount, unapplied amount, and document date. So if I have to go by unapplied amount, I can choose some unapplied amount. I can choose either ascending or descending. Right now it's in ascending, so my lowest amount first. If I go descending, it can show me straight away what amounts are still outstanding. Again, a very quick way to get to the transaction you are looking for. We all know bank recons can be a bit of a challenge, especially when there's so many transactions to try and reconcile. Microsoft has added the functionality to the bank recon screen as well, which you will see. And the two new features that they have added on your search criteria or your sort criteria is you can sort by type and date, which was there previously. Now you can also search by payment or by deposit. So if I choose by deposit, again, I want it by ascending or descending. If I go descending, and the one thing here, I've got to click on the redisplay button, and my payments now show from highest to lowest. Very nice feature, new feature that's come about, makes your bank reconciliations a lot easier. Another new feature or new item that Microsoft put to the table is that not everybody makes check payments anymore. They make payments via other options. So it could be EFTs, direct deposits, or whatever the case is. But what used to happen before is when you try to do a transaction to pay a vendor, what would happen is your screen would come up as a check payment, and you're not doing a check payment. So what Microsoft's done is they have renamed everything that says check to a payment. So you'll see on the screen that I've got up, instead it used to say build check batch. Now it says build payment batch. At the bottom right, you've got your print payments. Before it used to be print checks or edit check batch. Now it's edit payment batch. And that's a nice feature to have, a nice renaming tool that Microsoft done, especially when you have different modes of payments that you are using. While we're in this screen, a new feature that's been added by Microsoft is you have a payment option ID. Now what this does is if you have regular payments that you do maybe monthly or weekly, and you've got certain setups that you work with, so it could be, and we'll go through an example of that. So it could be that you want to have you don't want to show credit notes, or you don't want to automatically apply your returns. And those are criteria that you would select during each time that you want to do that payment. Now by creating a payment option ID, you can save that search criteria or that setup criteria. And then when you're ready to do that payment at that time, you just select that payment option ID, and all your settings is already set up for you. So what I will do is I'll show you what I've done is I've created a payment option ID called EFT payments. But what I'll do is I'm going to just create a batch, and I will create a new payment option ID. I will call this direct payment. And do I want to add this as a default? So click on add, and I'll say yes. Let's make that a direct payment, and I save that. Now for that payment option ID, I may want to select either a particular vendor, I want a vendor class, or certain document numbers or payment numbers. So let's say if we want to just select a particular vendor that you do on a regular basis. So I'll just select that vendor and insert that vendor itself. And then the other option that's available right now is you can choose to whether you want to make the payment per vendor, one payment per vendor, or one payment per invoice. And that's a new feature that's come around with GP 2018 as well. So whatever you select over here, so if I'm going to choose per vendor, that's fine. I do not want to have my credit memos automatically applied or my returns. So I untick that, and I can build my batch and save that. So what will happen is the next time around, I want to go and do that payment. I just select the payment option ID, and all my settings will be inherited from what I have done previously. And later on, this can also be changed as you wish. A nice feature, a nice time-saving feature that Microsoft added to this. Again, making that user experience much more easier to work with. Most of us work with SmartList. It's a good tool to have to try and get your data out of GP. A very nice tool. But what happens is, well, you've created a SmartList, and come month end, you run your SmartList to get your figures, and your figures just don't balance. Sounds familiar? I know a lot of users who have had that issue. What Microsoft done right now with GP 2018 is I've created a SmartList. You can now set up a password to the SmartList that you create. So, and if that is available to other users, they can still make any adjustments to it, but they will not be able to save it without the password. So in this case, as an example, I've created a account summary for period 1, but I said, well, I don't want to see period 1. I want to go to my search and I want to choose, well, let's say period 3. Click on OK, gives me my figures. Well, I'm happy with that. Okay, and being the typical colleague that I am, I'm going to just save it on with period 3. Someone else who's created a SmartList will go back and say, whoa, these figures are not right. So if I have to go to my favorites and click on modify, it now asks me for a password. Very nice tool to also to make sure that whatever you have done stays intact. Staying on the password side, system administrators, this one's for you. We know it's quite difficult sometimes when you want to administer GP itself. There's a lot of screens that you need to go to. For example, if I go to my administration screen, if I want to go into create a new user or grant access to that particular user or go to the user security, so any options that I want to go into, every time you had to go and type in that password. Now, keeping with the password policies, those passwords can be quite long. So this eliminates what I'm going to show you. This will eliminate the frustration and it'll save you time. What Microsoft does is for the time that you have logged into GP, you only need to enter the password once. So I'll show you that. So if I go into my user, it asks me for a password and get my password in, it opens up my user screen, my user setup. Now I close that down, and if I want to go into user security, click on that. You'll notice it does not ask me for a password anymore. Very good time saving. And the frustration, especially with administrators, because the administration in GP can get time consuming, and this helps quite a bit. Accounts receivable people. Have you ever had the time say, well, you calling your customers, not receive payment for that, for the statements and the invoices. Say, well, that's nice. I've not received a statement. That should sound familiar as well. I've gone through the experience with some of the clients that I've dealt with. What GP 2018 does for you right now is, while you've got your customer on the line, so I'm going to select a customer right now and say, well, yes, Mr. Customer, if you have not received a statement, that's all good. Call up the details. If you go to your print button, you've got a statement. So what this does is you can print a single statement for that customer, and this prints the last printed statement against that customer. So I click on the statement layout. That shows it to me on screen. Click on my send button, and I can now straight away email it as a PDF to that person while I've got them on the line. So while finding out how the day was, that email should have reached them, and there's no excuse now to say, well, I have not received my statement. Very nice feature, because before it used to be a long-winded way to try and get to statements itself. Very, very nice time-saving element there. Moving over from the user experience, we're going to go into workflows. Now, workflows, what's workflows? Workflows is a powerful tool in GP which automates processes and helps you save time. It is pretty much an approval process for documents, master records, or batches. And this defines the workflow through the system showing who must approve it and the conditions under which they must approve. So I've had questions about, like, I've got a chart of accounts with a set format, and I've got people just creating GL accounts and not sticking to the format. Ever had any of that? So what happens with that? You put on stricter controls, and you say, well, sorry, nobody creates any GL accounts except person X. Right now with workflows, and I'll go through that. Before I go through that, what workflows does is you have the option to create workflows for a lot of modules. So on your financials, your sales, purchasing, payroll, projects, and administration. So on your purchasing, for example, you could have, for any your payables document approval, a payables batch, or even if you want to do purchase orders, you want to capture a purchase order or a requisition, that goes through a workflow. Now, the good thing about this is Microsoft's going green, going paperless. So this year you could attach, and we'll come to the document attached side as well. So any documents getting attached to the workflows that you are requesting an approval can be sent out to the approver. So on the financial side, we have something saying, a GL account approval, and I'll show you how this works. So firstly, I'm creating a brand new account, and I'm going to say, well, okay, here's my account. And I'm going to call this test account, and I'm going to give it a category of, let's say, cash. And this is now someone just creating a GL account randomly. So you'll notice I have a submit button here. I can, however, save it, but the system will not allow me to do any transactions against that account unless it is approved. So if I click on the submit button, and I can put in a comment and say, please approve this account, and I click on the submit button. And this one, now I'm the originator, so I've sent it through my approver. And while that happens through is I'm going to go and do a transaction just to show you what that does. So I'm going to just capture the GL account that I've just created, put in for a debit of $1, and do a contra on that for another $1. And I want to now post this, and you'll find I get a message coming up say one or more accounts must complete the workflow first. Now, straight away, with this in mind, I cannot continue with this transaction. And as you'll notice, my notifications are coming in through to my email because I made myself the approver as well. So I will delete this transaction, and I will go to my reminders, to my emails, and you'll find I've been assigned a task to approve a new account setup. So it gives me the GL account number, it gives me the description, and it gives me the category that it is linked to. So now me as approver say, well, yeah, the account number is good, but the category is incorrect. So I don't have to go into GP per se and look for that account. I can click on the link of the account number. As long as I'm a user in GP, it will open up that particular screen for me and say, oh, okay, well, here's the account number. and that's not the correct category. I'm going to change it. Well, it should be non-financial, and I can say go to my workflow button, and I can either approve or reject. If I approve and say yes, and say this is approved, and click on the approve button. Now, me as the approver, having sent that, the email, a notification will be sent out to the originator stating that the account has been approved, and they can carry on with that. A very nice feature, again, paperless, and no real need to try and set up additional security for this. While I'm at this screen of my emails, you'll see while I was doing my testing and preparing for this, I have got reminder emails here. Now, what are these reminder emails you speak of? In my GP, if I go to my reminder emails, so let's say if I go to my financial, open up my GL approval, you'll see on the bottom, in the middle bottom, you've got assignments, and it's assigned to a particular approver. And I can put a time limit of how many hour intervals do you want to remind that person to say, please, I've not received a response yet, please approve, it's getting crucial. So they get reminders all the time. A very nice feature, so you don't have to worry about, oh, well, they have not received it. While we're in this, workflows, also you may have workflows for different departments or different divisions. What used to happen before is if you've got, say, 5 divisions, you want to create the same workflow. You had to create it from ground up every time. Now, GP, you have the copy option. So if I go onto my PO approval, you'll find a copy button there. I can copy that particular workflow that I've created, give it a new name, and make any changes that I want. A nice quick way to having the same workflow created and whatever small changes you require. And what I mentioned earlier is that people say, well, sorry, I did not receive any notification of you sending me something to approve. I said, well, that is strange, because if I go to this particular record as an example, I can go to my workflow and I can view my history. And this shows me exactly my date and time that I had submitted, when it's gone through to the person for approval, and what the response time was. So this gives you a very nice indication of, well, is someone doing the work or have they not? A nice way of saying, well, yes, you have received it and we have proof of it. From workflows, that's some of the bits for the workflows itself. The next we'll move on to is document attachment. Document attachment, what that is. Now that started something with GP 2013, and over the years Microsoft has made many changes, and this has gone through an overhaul in so much that you can now not only attach documents to, say, transactions, you can attach them to master records, you can attach them to inquiry screens. And the reason for inquiry screens is if someone doesn't have full access to GP and only viewing access, you can then, they'll still be able to see the attachment on the record, and they could also have the ability to add attachments to the record. An example of time saving on the document attachment, I had a client who up to date has been very diligent on doing the document attach functionality. Previously, what used to happen is every year when auditors came through, it used to take at least 5 to 6 weeks for the auditors to be there. And of that 5 to 6 weeks, it used to take about 2 to 3 members of the staff to be working for the auditors. Or I'd like this record. Oh, while you're there, sorry, I didn't remember I needed this record as well. So, going through your archives, going through paperwork, trying to get all the records. The document attach is going to save a lot of time. what the client that I'm talking about, what they have done by doing this diligently, they have cut down their auditing time from 5 to 6 weeks down to 2 weeks, with no one on their payroll working for the auditors. I'll give you a quick example as to how the document attachment will work. So what I've done is, on the receivables transaction, I have created a test invoice, and you'll find you've got an attach button over here with a paperclip. Now, if I click on that, I don't have any out here, and I say, okay, well, I want to attach a document, and depending on your setup, you can scan your documents, send it to a particular folder, and you'll find all your documents out there and easy enough to find and attach. So in this case, I've just got an example of a digital invoice. I'll attach that, and if I want, I can highlight that, click on the preview button, and that opens the invoice right there. Now, this is something that anyone that will have access to that transaction or that record will be able to view that document. With the document attached, you'll find with GP 2018, you can attach multiple documents and also multiple pages on that document when you scan them in. And this is a nice new feature that's available in GP 2018. Speaking about where the document attached, where someone may only have inquiry security to GP, and they cannot transact, they can maybe view or inquire. So if I go into a vendor inquiry, I've got a little attachment button there, click on the paperclip, and here's my digital invoice that I've attached as well. Click on preview, and I can go and see that without having the full license of GP registered to my name. A nice feature, again, paperless, going green, and easier access to make sure you've got everything on track. And the good thing about the document attached is you have a very slim chance of losing documents. Moving from the document attached, we have the next great feature coming through, which is the web client. Now, the web client, as far as administrators go, as far as installers go, maintaining GP installations for even a few workstations can be a tedious task for IT departments and even administrators, because if you need to make a change, you need to remember to make it throughout. Now, what if you could ease those headaches and allow employees to log into GP from any computer anywhere? What if you had the ability to use the standard GP functionality across any browser, across any device? Well, now with GP, you can. And it'll be difficult to show you the web client through what I have right now, but some of the features that Microsoft added, and they continue to add the desktop experience to the web client, is you now have the autocomplete functionality. So if you are using GP through the web client, if you're looking up a customer in the screenshot that I have, if you type in the letter A, it'll give you a list of all the A's that you have ever searched on, and that's a nice quick feature to try and get to what you have. And this was only available on the desktop functionality. The other thing on the web client that's been added is the Smart List shortcut. You can now see you've got a Smart List shortcut, and if you're using the web client, click on the Smart List, and whatever Smart List you have access to, that will be made available to your web client browser. Going through your bank reconciliation, again, what Microsoft has done with the web client feature is they have now maximized the screen. Before, what used to happen is you had to scroll up and down, or left and right, just to be able to find your records in order to do your reconciliation. Now with the screen being maximized, you do not need to worry about that. It's easy to find your records like you would in your normal desktop side. So 3 of the nice good features that's come through, new features that's come through on the web client option. Let's not forget about the people who pay us. No, I'm not talking about our bosses. I'm talking about the payroll people, our payroll department. They are a very important aspect to the business, and we need to make their lives as easy as, and simple as possible as well. So what Microsoft's done is also trying to make their user experience, to be able to enjoy GP. And one of the features that they've added is you can now turn off any of the garnishment reports. For example, when you had to process, or when you process your payroll and you post your payroll, your garnishment reports is something that got printed no matter what, even if you did not require it. Now you have the option to turn that off. And I'll show you how that's done. Is on the setup itself, I'm going to select my series, which is payroll. On my origin, I'm going to select all. I'll just minimize this and expand the screen. So what you'll find is I have a payables garnishment detail and a payables garnishment summary. I can uncheck those boxes. Once they are unchecked, when the payroll person processes their payroll, they will now be able to have the process done much quicker, because those reports will not get printed. Another new feature added for the payroll people is your setups in your deduction codes and your pay codes. Now, you may have employees that for a period of time that may be inactive. And when they do come back and you have to activate them again, you have to go through and reinstate all the setups, whatever codes have changed. You have to do that for those employees. Now, with GP 2018, any changes you make to any of the deduction codes or pay codes, you could roll down the changes to either only active records or to all records. And if you select all records, it will consider and roll down those changes to inactive records as well. So when an inactive employee becomes active again, all those changes will be there, again, saving you time from having to do all of that. So I will take you through of what the options would look like. If I go through a particular deduction code, deduction setup, select a code, and let's say under my TSA sheltered from, I'm going to untick my FICA Medicare and say, well, that's good. Click on save. I want to continue, yes. Now I get a message saying, do I want to roll down the changes to active records, all records, or none? Again, as mentioned, active records will only give you your active employees, all records, active and inactive. Very nice feature that's been added. Good time saver. That is also available in your pay codes as well. So select a pay code, make that a 0 on a pay rate, and click on save, and make that either roll it down to where I want. Now, it's all well and good that we have a good system. It's all well and good we have all the data in the system. What does that mean? Does it mean anything? Having all the data in there, if you cannot get proper reporting, data is meaningless. And Microsoft's come through hoops on this, and they have allowed, or not allowed, but they have now provided an enhanced reporting tool, which we call Power BI. Now, Power BI transforms your company's data, into rich visuals for you to collect and organize, so you can focus on what matters to you. For example, do you regularly distribute reports by email to your team? Well, now with Power BI, there's a new feature called Content Pack. What this does, it packages up your dashboards, your reports, Excel workbooks, and any data set that you have, and you can publish them to your team as an organization so you can all discuss and collaborate. Very nice feature with the Content Pack, and especially with Power BI. Now what I'll do is I'm going to show you, having all the data is good, but the type of reporting you can have with Power BI, and this is very, very important, especially to top management out there. What I have is a few sample reports that's been created. So I've got some customer profitability, human resource, IT spend, that's a good one to look at, procurement analysis. So if I have to take a customer profitability sample, and these are type of reports that you could have on your desktop in GP. I'm showing to you straight out in Power BI itself. So I have a team scorecard. So, well, these are my sales. I want to see, well, these are my totals for all my salespeople, all my executives. But I want to see, well, what does Andrew, what's he up to? Click on him, and that changes my whole, all my graphs and all my data accordingly. Now, keep in mind that all the data that you see or that you will have access to on your reporting is all real time. As long as your data is posted accordingly in GP and posted, you will get your report, your data and your reports updated in real time. So going back to, well, that was Andrew. What is Tina up to? Tina, well, she's pretty okay. And what you'll find here is at the bottom, like Excel, I have multiple tabs. So just for the customer profitability report, I do not have to create a new report for different types of for the same sort of sample. I could say, well, my industry margin analysis, which again goes to what are my distributions like? Click on that, and that takes me there. What's the energy looking for? Oh, that's a spike there going to 2 million. That's good. And again, these are type of things that you can do with Power BI. Let's give you another example. I know IT spend is quite good. It's a good feature to have, a good reporting tool, good report to have. So if these are my IT spends. I can say my IT spend analysis across countries. So this is like Australia, New Zealand, Canada, Europe. So we could see on that. If I go to spend by cost element, I can see straight away, well, my actual is 258 million in this example. My plan was 243. Oh, what's taken up all of it or most of it? Well, let's see. Maybe let's go to hardware and software. Well, there we go. It's 49 million straight out. And you can see just at the click of a button by slicing and dicing, it's taking Power Pivot to a whole new level. Now, if I want to take it by functional, and again, I can have multiple slices on the report that you want to drill down to or you want to analyze. And that, ladies and gentlemen, would be my presentation to you on what's new in GP 2018. But in closing, early on I asked 2 questions. Would you like to focus more on your business rather than on your system? And 2, do you want your processes running at optimal performance? From the little that I've shown you, this is just the tip of the iceberg. Emergence can provide you with a complete solution review which will optimize your business, your process, and your system. So please feel free to give us a call after this, and I will now hand back over to Chantel.
Thank you, Jay. We'll go ahead and take some of the questions now. Just a reminder to everyone that if you haven't submitted your questions yet, to please type your questions into the question box in your control panel. Okay, so the first question that we have is, does the doc attach as work stay with the document through posting to open and then to history when paid transaction removal is run?
That's an excellent question, and the answer simply yes, it is. The document attached that you attach to a particular transaction will stay with that transaction for its entirety.
Okay, great. The next question that we have is, does GP 2016 have workflows, which I think you've answered
yes.
now. Yeah.
GP 2016 does have workflows. What Microsoft has done is they have improved quite a lot on it. Yep.
And then the next one in the similar vein is, does GP 2018 have workflows for all transactions?
It won't be for all transactions. It has for most of them. And as mentioned earlier, Microsoft is enhancing on this all the time. So with the workflow starting from GP 2013, they've come a long way, and they have added a lot more in the past few years. So yes, going forward, they will definitely be adding more to it.
Okay. The next question is, what is recommended for contract management in GP?
Contract management, well, GP does have a contract management module which can be used. That comes, well, we'll say standard, depending on your licenses, but it is a good contract management tool which works with a servicing tool as well, a servicing module, and that works hand in hand with project accounting if you do have that. But yes, the contract administration module and your service module works hand in hand with GP.
Okay. And just two more final questions. If I wanted to use GP in the cloud, is that possible?
Excellent question again there. GP, yes, you can definitely use it in the cloud. And Emergence, you've been in the forefront of what we do. We have a number of cloud options available should a cloud deployment be considered or required. Emergence, we have cloud technologists on our staff. Experts on that. With migrating your GP, from both public to cloud options. So definitely we do have that. We have data, we can host your data elsewhere in the world, and all depends on licensing, your licensing perspective. There are options to leverage your licenses, and that is something I think, the account managers can look into. But to answer the question, simply, yes, it is definitely available.
Yeah, so if cloud is part of your strategy going forward, that's certainly a conversation that we can have with you. It's possible there are different options available, so I'm happy to engage in that conversation on a deeper level with you for sure. The last question that we have here is, are there any other financial reporting tools available?
Reporting, what more would you want than Power BI? But yes, there is. Kidding. We have definitely, in collaboration with a product called Profix, a very nice reporting tool as well that goes very deeply in, and also cloud-based as well. And we have something called Jet Reports that we work with. But on the Microsoft side, we have the Power BI, we have SQL reporting, and over and above that, yes, as mentioned, we have the Profix and we have Jet Reports.
Okay, great. It looks like we've covered all of our questions. Just before we sign off, I just wanted to give everybody a quick reminder that GP 2013 does reach the end of its mainstream support lifecycle this April. So if you're on version 2013 or earlier, you should be planning your next upgrade. So definitely get in touch with us about that. If you'd like to schedule your site assessment and receive an estimate to upgrade to the latest version of GP, please contact either myself or Rob, and we'll be happy to assist you with that. Finally, if you think others in your organization would get value from this webinar, a recorded version will be available and it'll be sent to you following this webinar. So please feel free to share it with your colleagues. And also, you'll be receiving a quick survey, and so your feedback is really important to us. So we would really appreciate if you could take a couple minutes to respond to that survey, because those are always very helpful. So once again, thank you very much for joining us today, and we will see you next time.